Thanks for joining us again at CivilNet. I'm Pat, your host, and I have the pleasure of speaking with Mrs. Mane Tindilian, who is running for mayor this week in Yerevan. Thank you for joining us, Mrs.
Thank you for inviting.
So let's dive in first and foremost. I mean, what would be the top 3 policies you would institute to improve the capital city?
You know, we've talked a lot with the people living in Yerevan and we know a lot of issues, but the first 3 priorities I would mention is the transportation issue and traffic jam we have in Yerevan. And the second, the worst situation is with air pollution in Yerevan, and this is also very bothering. I think the third that I would mention is safety. In Yerevan, it is not safe walking streets and also buildings where people live. So probably these are the main 3 priorities I would pay attention most.
Interesting. Let's expand on a lot of these points here. The first and the most obvious one is transportation. I mean, studies show that being stuck in a major city's traffic jam, it's costing on average every individual $800 US per year. Extrapolate that of a city of 1 million people, that's money we can't afford to keep losing. So what tangible steps would you implement to improve the transportation in Yerevan, the congestion, the traffic, the cars?
Actually, money is not the worst situation. The worst is that people are spending their lives in traffic jams, like 11 days from their life, and we have counted that, and it is really troubling. So we have suggested to Yerevan people to have ropeways to input, and the system of ropeway will ease the situation, because we understand that people should give up using their own cars. For that purpose, we need to make transportation reform. And to start from ropeway would allow them to leave their own cars and to get different parts of Yerevan easier. Then we will be able to make transportation reform and giving bus lines for the people to get to their destinations fast. Also, because of that transportation reform, we'll be able to have like 8 minutes waiting period in bus stations. And this is what people will be feeling and like touching. They will be waiting only 8 minutes in the bus stations.
Okay, I like the idea, but for ropeways specifically, wouldn't it be more convenient to do it the other way around, for example, to have much more buses faster than to then institute the ropeway?
If we have much more buses, they will be stuck in traffic jams as well. So people will not be getting, again, easily to their homes and families. That's why we need to ease the city. If we have a lot of buses and still we'll have traffic jam, and you see it is happening. We are buying more and more buses, but it is not easing the situation. And along with that, we'll be constructing new roads. We say a big circle, which will be allowing to ease the situation in the middle of the city center. So there we have a lot of traffic. So it will help to ease the situation, and transportation reform will allow people to reach their homes easily.
Excellent. Let's move on now to the topic of air pollution. I mean, as we know, Yerevan is probably in one of the top 10 worst places on earth when it comes to air pollution, and this leads to health problems. It leads to severe issues with breathing, with heart disease, and affects children. So what tangible steps, and the majority, of course, comes from cars, right? It's something like 80 to 85% of our air quality issues come from exhaust. So what tangible steps would you take to alleviate this problem? And as soon as possible, of course.
As you remember, my first answer was that we will be trying to do transportation reform so that people will be leaving their own cars and using ropeways. And ropeways ecologically clean transportation, by the way, just to mention that several resolutions will be bringing to the result of purifying the air. But honestly, yes, it is because of cars, because of construction and mining. So if we know the reasons, we have solutions for them. I have to say that the solution will be both short-term and long-term. As you said, the situation is really bad. Yeah. So that's why we need short-term solutions as well. And we suggest to have air purifying stations in places which are the most polluted. as you said, there are because of cars, so that when a car is stopping at the bus stations next to the crossroads, then it is more polluted. So we will be putting purifying stations, which is, by the way, already done in Germany and other countries. And also the next issue is with construction sites. So in that places, we also, besides we will be putting air purifying stations, but also the law is in place, which is not implemented. So we have to enforce the law implementation. And also we definitely will be talking about green places, more green places in Yerevan, and which is the most important part in our program is that we plan to have urban forests surrounding Yerevan, whole Yerevan, which will be helping to clean air coming from mining sites and pollution from mining. So all these measures will be helping us in short term and long term to resolve air pollution in Yerevan.
Excellent. Can I point out an interesting piece? Because wouldn't it be, as you mentioned, wouldn't it be a little bit simpler as a short-term solution to also just crack down on a lot of the illegal activities that's going on? So for example, anytime somebody buys a new car, there's a piece, a type of filter that you can put on the exhaust. It's illegal, but from what I've been told by some friends of mine who just bought cars, that every time they bring it in to register and then they go to the garage says, hey, we can remove it for you, you don't need it, we'll sell it. And
yes, I understand. This is another measure, but I want to do our job first, then impose it on people. So for them to feel that government and local government is doing their best to ease the situation, and then they will be helping us also. Because when you are not doing all you have to, you cannot motivate people to do their part of job.
I understand. What would you do? I mean, this urban forest you're talking about, where would it be physically located, and what measures would you use to start creating it as soon as possible?
Yeah, it will be just surrounding Yerevan by the cycle that we have around the Yerevan, and we need to start doing that. Whenever we start, it will definitely take some time. That is why I say we have also long-term solutions. But imagine Khosrow would think that what if he's making forests and he wouldn't see them? So it needs to be started, and then we will having the air coming to Yerevan clean and fresh and with oxygen, so that it will long last the Yerevan air system.
Would you need to move houses or kind of move neighborhoods?
It will be just surrounding Yerevan. So we have Yerevan and the city as a whole, and then we have forests surrounding it. So it is like places that no one lives now.
That makes a lot of sense. In terms of greenery within the city, are there any plans to expand any parks or clean up for example, the botanical garden or the Hrazdan Gorge? I mean, we have them, right?
Yes, you are right, and we have a lot of local, like small forests in Yerevan as well. Like Nork, we have to plant their trees as well. Like Saralanch, we have places to plant trees, and many others like Dalma. So we plan having in the city as well. But as we talk to professionals, they say that even these may not be enough for Yerevan to clean the air. That's why the situation, as you mentioned in your words, is really terrifying. That's why we will be having also water places and small gardens as well, and big small forests in Yerevan too. But we think that this is not enough with professionals, so we'll be doing all we need to clean the air, because it is getting worse and worse, and human health is the most important.
Excellent. So you mentioned bringing in some of the experts that you've consulted, and I am curious, as somebody who's lived in multiple cities, and especially in Europe, what are some cities that you would like to emulate, and what are some, are you bringing some foreign expertise to come and help us, or to come and share some of the, some of the innovations that's going on over there that can make our cities more livable, more walkable, more breathable?
We talk with both foreign experts and local. I have to say that we have also local very good experts who are really professionals and are ready to help, but we also will be involving different people from outside and also from Armenians diaspora. And I have to say that I'm happy to say we have really good expertise. And we also considered with them interesting park in the middle of the city, and it is called Yerevan Boulevard. We will be doing so that all small parks will be connected to each other, and people will be walking through all these parks without crossing the streets and red lines and green lines, so that they have places to walk, like promenades. You know that there exist in different cities, European cities, and parks in the middle of the city is really very beautiful and is helpful for moving people and enjoying their lives. So we have two that kind of parks, Yerevan Boulevard and France Square. You will know that we have France Square and it is just crossroad.
Yeah.
We'll be making a park there, and cars will be going downstairs, like down and through the tunnels, and people will be walking in that places. So we plan to have two that kind of central parks in Yerevan, which will really make the country more livable, more walkable, and for pedestrians to really move easily, because now you cannot just walk 100 meters without having cross or looking down and trying to find a way. So it is really a big one of the two mega projects that we are talking about. By the way, we suggest 8 mega projects, and this Boulevard and France Square are two of them.
Can you walk us through the remaining 6 mega projects? I'm very curious about these as well.
Yes, sure. The third one is ropeway. As I told, we will be having ropeway system implemented. Fourth is Erebuni Castle. You know, we have castle, but we don't use it much, and we want to renovate it. And then Cascade, Old City. We're calling it Old Town in Cascade, and we're showing what was Yerevan, just a small market of Yerevan. And we also have that big circle. As I said, we will be making new construction of roads, and it will be relieve the situation in the middle of the city. Also, we plan to have a youth palace recovered. You know that Yerevan had youth palace, which was demolished, and unfortunately, this is like symbol of Yerevan. But we managed somehow to demolish the symbol. And the 8th one is the Zvartnots airport. You know that we have, again, very beautiful, monumental airport, but unfortunately it is again left aside and it is in a bad situation. So we will be recovering it as well. So we think that people living in Yerevan should have their dreams, like what kind of city we want to have and to leave behind, like Tamanyan was doing. So because of his dreams, we have this beautiful small garden city, and we want to recover, and also we want to have dreams as people living in Yerevan, what we will be having after us and what will be our children seeing Yerevan.
I see. These are very ambitious projects, and I like the sound of them. I'm just curious, as a resident and a taxpayer myself, how do you plan to raise the funds for all these? These can't come cheap, right?
Yeah,
will it fit within the budget,
totally,
or is there plans for new taxes? What are we talking about here?
It is a valid question. All those projects I've talked about are $600 million of investment, not more than that. So we have counted with professionals and in the time bound, like 3, 4, 5 years to implement. But we've talked with a lot of investors. They are ready to invest as well. And we will be also having different kind of international funds helping us, because as I said, for example, the ropeway is ecologically clean transportation. So it is popular in European standards as well, and we will be having international funds available to us. And as I said, investors and also budget. So all this from different sources, money will be coming, and we will be able to generate also income out of this project, which will be helping to implement other projects too.
I understand. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Tandilian. We wish you the best of luck in your campaign. And this has been Patrick from CivilNet. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you at the next one.
Thank you.